Hello friends, welcome to the Hydro Chronicle podcast with your host, Rich Hamilton.
Hello and welcome back to the Hydro Chronicle podcast. On this episode we're talking with Dr Callie Seaman that prevention is easier than the cure. We had a great time and a quick conversation. It was recorded at the Hemp and CBD Expo, so there is a little bit of background noise, but I hope you enjoyed the conversation anyway. Thanks again for listening. Welcome back, Cal.
It's a pleasure to be back here. More of a pleasure to actually be in your hometown of Birmingham.
Indeed, we're at the Hemp and CBD Expo here at the NEC in Birmingham. How's everything going?
Oh, brilliant. It's really good. Some really big professionals here, people who actually know what they're talking about. It's some nice little small companies as well. A real pleasure. And do you know what's really nice to see today is the less of the white labelled kind of companies here. For, that are more importers. I'm liking seeing these smaller companies who have really got the knowledge and really got good products, and hopefully that kind of the local brands can shine through as opposed to these kind of imports that are coming in. And there's nothing wrong with imports, but it is really nice to see some homegrown kind of product.
100%, and it's good to see the actual company owners here as well, and so passionate about the industry.
Oh, completely. I've just been talking to Danny Gordon. She's working really hard on a book at the moment. There's loads of people here today, lots of really experience, and it's not just about the money. Hannah Deakin as well, I've just been speaking to her as well, and really pushing forwards with the End Our Pain campaign. It's just really, it's a really positive vibe here. It's really, really positive.
It is, and it's busy as well. There's a really good, great atmosphere here. It's just brilliant. It's a really good show. I mean, we was here last year and it was good. It was busy, but not like this. It seems like there's a much more of a hype this time.
Yes, definitely, and a lot more understanding from the consumers of the questions they're asking as well. I'm noticing that, whereas last year everybody was sort of wandering around a bit, what's this CBD stuff? Is it going to do me any good? What's it going to do to me? And people are now saying, well, what does this percentage mean? Well, what do you mean it's 1,000 milligrams? Is that 1,000 milligrams in 30 mils? Is that 1,000 milligrams per mil? So the people are becoming more educated, and the questions that are coming through are actually really reflective that opinions changing as well. I mean, I've even brought my mum here today.
Fantastic.
And she's now open to it, and she's asking the questions. And before, you would mention a show about cannabis, and it was we can't go near cannabis. That's the devil's lettuce.
The devil's lettuce. Yeah.
But this really attitude has changed massively, and it's really good to see. And there's such. One of the things my mum said when we came here, they're normal people. There's not really much tie-dye here. I expected it to be lots of tie-dye people and
Hessian hoodies.
Yeah, and everyone having a sit down and going, I don't know, Mum. Everyday people are using CBD.
Yeah, they are, and that's great thanks to people like you doing the talks, having that time out, being an advocate for the industry and educating the people.
Well, hopefully it's something I'm so passionate about, and I kind of got my calling 2 years ago. I'd never understood this. I never understood how people all of a sudden got this calling and almost that meeting of God kind of thing. I'd never had it, and all of a sudden I got it, and that passion. And when I'm up and helping people, and it just feels. You don't want pain for it. You don't.
No. It's kind of it's been in line with the universe. I feel you're just on that, like we spoke about frequencies before, and it's sort of like when you start giving something and not expecting it back, that's when you get things back. It's sort of emotionally rather than sort of physical, money and stuff.
Oh, it is. The hairs stand up on end, and the back of your neck. You feel that there's a real. You're making a difference, and that is I love my job. But when I'm actually out on the campaigns and actually helping, I just feel that there's such kind of enlightenment and this kind of just real passion behind it, and it excites me like nothing else.
Well, you do so much talking. I see you on the way down to London all the time on social media, and I'm like, Cal, what's this event you're going to? What are you? I mean, I go to a lot of events, I go to a lot of shows, but you do probably twice as much with talks and conferences and. table talk?
It's just getting out there. I'm in Dublin at the ECE on Tuesday. Next weekend, there's a Women of Weed screening on Saturday night. I'm on a panel for. The following day, there is the Endo Box show, which again I'm on another panel for, talking about periods and women's issues and CBD, because it's International Women's Day next week. So it's absolutely non-stop, and it's this roller coaster that I'm loving, absolutely loving it.
Loving. And then Europe after that as well.
Oh yeah, Spanibus. An ICBC. I'm not sure if I'm doing ICBC yet.
Right, okay.
Are you
Yeah, I think.
I'm not sure yet. I'm in two minds to do it yet. But I'm definitely going to be at Spanibus the Friday, but not Saturday, Sunday. I've found that Saturday and Sunday, because it's a public day, it gets so rammed, gets so full, and it's far easier just getting all your business done on the actual Friday and get everything done and and arrange meetings before then as well. So if you're about, what day are you flying out?
I'm actually there from Monday to Monday, and then I'm going to Amsterdam to do a couple of things in Amsterdam for a couple of days after that. So I'll be there the whole week. So I'll be there, we'll meet up.
Well, I'm out there from the Tuesday. I've decided to go that bit earlier.
Oh, right, okay. I find it's best because you can get there, settle down, sort everything out. Like you said, do your meetings, get all the business done, and then get Spanibus sort of out of the way, and then move forwards and kind of relax as well, enjoy the sun, enjoy the beach as well.
Oh, I can't wait for that. Can't wait for some sunshine instead of this horrible rain. I don't know what your journey was like.
Wet.
Yeah, aquaplaning down. We were puddles going through though, smashing through a puddle. Test your brakes, quick test your brakes. It's all right. Brakes are fine.
It'll be over soon. Hopefully the sun will come. But we're here today. What are we going to talk about today?
Well, I'm going to be doing a talk in about an hour's time, and my stomach started to go because prevention is easier than the cure. So it's talking about little things we can all do to prevent problems. I mean, we've got the coronavirus at the moment. Everyone's going mental about that. Wash your hands. Do simple things. Don't sneeze without a tissue. Put your hand to your mouth. There's lots we can do. Little simple actions, and really washing your hands really properly as well. So it's talking about things like that, talking about one of our products, particularly Silver Bullet, which is a sterilising agent, and using that to sterilise equipment before putting it into a separate tank. Making sure you're filtering your air to make sure no microbes are coming in that way. Changing your shoes before going into the facility. Make sure you're doing regular testing, because what do you know? How do you know what you don't know? Well, really, you need to be testing to know what you don't know. So a lot of people try and scrimp corners and think, it's going to cost a lot of money to do this testing. Well, you could have prevented all these problems you had 12 weeks ago by testing the soil that you were using and checking that it didn't have any heavy metals in. Very simple thing. Very, very simple.
Very simple. I try to get in people, when I'm talking to people that are doing indoor gardeners, I try and say, write a checklist, a 3-day checklist, and just go through that checklist religiously. You've got to kind of treat it almost like laboratory, and we all get lazy at times, but like you say, prevention is better than cure, and by following a simple pattern, we save you thousands.
Yeah, and it then becomes breathing. It becomes like an action like breathing, as opposed to it being a chore. It's just, we have to do this. I mean, you wouldn't go to the toilet without taking your trousers down, would you? And that's how you need to kind of think about this. Of if you're, cultivating, doing all of these practices that you would normally do in a day-to-day life. You wouldn't brush your teeth without using toothpaste. And when you start addressing those kinds of issues and talking to people can relate to it, but as soon as you start telling them about, make sure you every week that you're cleaning down your room, you're changing your shoes and your smock, quarantining any plants that are coming into the facility, because that's the root of actual contamination of any disease. So, and it's just getting that into people and then realising that you've got to make it a breathing thing.
Definitely. And I was talking with someone just yesterday actually, and one thing that they're not doing, which I find ridiculous, as I think it's so important, they have a 250 litre header tank for their plants. It's run on an auto pot system, but they're not cleaning the tank down when they change the water in there. So rather than taking the water out, cleaning the tank down, refilling it, redoing the ECs, redoing the pH, they're just taking a bit out, even leaving a little bit in the bottom, There's salt residue all over it. He showed me a photograph of it. I was like, that is disgusting. You need a new tank. And then if I was you, I'd alternate 2 tanks. So rather than have 1 tank, have 2 tanks, set that one up next to it, and whilst that one's, you fill that one up, get all your nutrients fed, take the other one out of the environment, clean it down, and then replace and rotate.
And it's a very simple little thing to do, but how many problems that is going to solve? You'll stop things like fusarium occurring, pythium occurring, any of your root rot problems, any build-up of salts, any pH fluctuations as well that can occur in there. The amount of lack of monitoring people do as well. And then they will come in. I mean, you must have had this over the years, that it's you start asking them about their environment and you're saying, so what's your humidity doing? Oh, it's bang on. What's your humidity? It's bang on.
Yeah, I don't have that. I don't have bang on written on my humidity device, so you're going to have to tell me a number.
Yeah, you know, plants don't respond to a bang on humidity and photosynthesize correctly at bang on. You need to be a little bit more forthcoming with what actually this is. I say that the amount of times that you hear that same thing, oh yeah, no, I definitely do that. No, you don't. We can see you don't do that. That's obvious you don't do that.
Clearly you don't do that. It's really important as well to actually have to take different measurements in different parts of the room as well. You know, there's a lot of people that I know, they'll have a hygrometer or temperature gauge, and they'll have it in one section of the grow environment, where realistically they need it in multiple areas in order that they get an overall temperature, overall humidity. I think that's so important.
And taking those averages as well, making sure you're doing maximum minimums, as you say, making sure it is a good demographic of the whole actual room as well. So many people will just take one thermometer and believe that is
gospel.
Yeah. That's what my room's doing. No, that's what that room's doing there at that point. Oh, your plant's at that point. No. Well, that's not what the plants are. I mean, the one that people really do miss is leaf temperature, and actually monitoring the temperature of the leaf, because that is where all the reactions are occurring. That's where the photosynthesis is occurring. And if the leaf temperature is very different to the actual surrounding temperatures, you're not actually understanding what's occurring and why the plant's not performing in the way it should be.
Definitely. In this day and age as well, you can get a relatively cheap laser temperature gauge. And that's just a simple, very, very, very cheap sort of laser. You point it at the leaf, take the temperature, but take multiple temperatures, bottom, top, middle, all over.
Understand what's occurring throughout the plant, not just at one point that you think is where the plant it should be red. So yeah, it's a good idea to do that. There's also monitoring water temperature. Everyone forgets about that one. Quite often I'll just bang on about what the environment's doing instead of looking at the water temperature, which it's up at 24 degrees. Well, that's not that high. Yeah, but you're encouraging root disease, so that's why your plants are dying. You've got and then you've got pH fluctuations again with temperature. You're always going to get that change, and your conductivity. So it's people do seem to think that because they've been growing a couple of years that they've got everything bang on.
Yeah, they do. They think they're masters at it, and they don't take into account the temperature outside as well. So if you're bringing air in, obviously that's going to fluctuate throughout the day and throughout the seasons over the year. I'm a huge believer in writing diaries and calendars as well, and there's so many people that don't write those calendars and don't write those diaries, and if you do, it will make you a better grower. Yep. It's as simple as that.
Well, you can see where you went wrong last time. You can monitor and say, well, my plant was actually, it didn't have the explosive growth I expected. Oh, I'll have a look through how I was feeding it. That can tell you so much about what was occurring. Oh, we got a nighttime drop that went down to 15 degrees, and then the daytime was up at 28. Oh, that's why my plants have stretched, because I've had such a big diff between the nighttime and the daytime. But it's still bang on.
It's that phrase, bang on.
Oh, the amount of times I've been told that one, it's bang on.
There's a lot of, with the temperature, it can stress the plant up to sex change as well.
Yep, but high temperatures quite often. There was a summer a couple of years ago, and there was...
I remember it, yeah, It caught everybody out.
Yeah, and all of a sudden they're just hermaphrodite. And there's people panicking and just, well, why is this happening? Well, because your temperature in your room's so high. That's why.
Definitely. Let's talk a little bit more about silver bullet.
Oh, yes, no problems.
Okay, shoot.
So, silver stabilised hydrogen peroxide solution. Now, don't panic with the peroxide word. I don't know what everybody knows about what hydrogen peroxide is. It's basically water with an extra oxygen on there. But oxygen is quite unstable and it likes to disappear off on itself. It's negatively charged. So it does like to remove itself from the water and then float off. Well, as it comes off and as it dissipates off of this stabilised silver, the oxygen is negatively charged and will attach itself to anything else that's positively charged. Microbes, the cell wall of microbes. It then destroys that, boom. Everything that's in there is dead. Unfortunately, it's not selective in what it actually attacks. So it will attack those good microbes, your trichodermas, your bacillus, those that are needed around your actual mycorrhizal to encourage it to grow. So it's non-selective, but if you have suffered with problems or you're in a particular system that's not got an active movement or recirculating system, it can help prevent those problems, along with the biofilms that are in there as well that can actually cause clogging up of some of the pumps, and it can then lead to other diseases as well.
Is that going to help with laying things on the water or living on top of the water as well?
Like the springtails.
Yeah,
it should. But springtails don't tend to be damaging to the plant. What they are is scavengers. So if you've ever seen sort of something jumping on the top of the water, or like in little clusters, these are springtails, and they just scavenge up any of the residual kind of organic matter in there. So they do no harm to the plant, but they will help to keep them under control. It won't cure them. You've got to keep applying this. But what it is really good for is your fungus. So botrytis, cleaning down the walls with it, using it, having a little pot full of a diluted solution, dipping your pH meter in it after you've been into one tank, into the next, regularly cleaning things down with it.
Right, so that's great. That's a great tip. Whilst you're pHing or reseeing, after you've done that and you've got that reading, just get it into the silver bullet at the dilution rate. Is it got a diluted rate or is it just straight in?
I'd put it in at about 25 mils per litre if you're doing that, because you really wanted to eradicate everything there. It's not a maintenance dose. So I personally, I would have that up at a much stronger dosage and have it up at that 25, what we'd call the emergency dose that you would use in order to clean everything down. And cleaning the pipe work through as well. So having it up at that emergency dose, when you've actually cropped, running the pump through with the silver bullet to actually just sterilise the system completely before the next plant's going.
So that's going to clean all the pipes, all the lines, it's going to sterilise everything, get rid of any of those nasty bacteria.
Yes, yeah, anything that is pathogenic to your plants and pathogenic to yourself as well. Because we forget about things like E. coli and salmonella and some of the actual bugs that live within soil. We completely dismiss that, which is actually pathogenic to you. They've got no problem with the plant because they just live there quite happily. But if you're ingesting whatever you're actually producing and you've got a splash from the water, that gets onto there, you ingest that, you're going to get, possibly food poisoning from it. There was that outbreak with the lettuce a couple of years ago. There was an E. coli outbreak in a farm, and I remember seeing quite a funny meme turning around. There was a lettuce turning around, and a cannabis plant turning around to the lettuce, going, "And you're calling me the devil's lettuce?" And it tickled me quite a bit. That did, bless it.
And so, if we wanted to find out where you could actually pick up Silver Bullet or social media, where's the best place to find out about it?
Well, you can check out the Silver Bullet website or Instagram. If you check out Aqualabs as well, you can find it on there. But if you just put Silver Bullet into the website, you should be able to find it, no problems.
That's excellent. Callie Seaman, thank you for coming on the podcast again. It's awesome.
Thank you for having me. Much pleasure.
Awesome. Enjoy the rest of the Hemp and CBD Expo. I'm really looking forward to your talk. What time are you on?
3:25.
You'll be fine.
It's this bit where you're going, I just want to get it done now.
I heard you last time and you was absolutely fantastic. So I'll make sure I come over and have a listen. Pull some funny faces in the background, okay?
Thank you, we'll do some McMail faces.
Okay. All right, thank you again.
No problems, take care, darling.
Bye. Thank you again for listening to the Hydro Chronicle podcast. If you like what you're listening to, please subscribe and share with a friend. I'd just like to say thank you to everyone at the studio and thank you to Dr Callie Seaman for coming on the podcast again. Thanks, Cal. Today's episode of the Hydro Chronicle podcast was brought to you by The Grower's Guide. The Grower's Guide is a series of grow books that teaches you everything from start to finish of how to grow indoors. RRP is $14.99 and is available from www.thegrowersguide.com. Free UK delivery and $4.99 international shipping. Start growing today. It's easier than you think.